Thanks, Sophie. You're watching South East Today. Our top story tonight: flats on fire. Explosions are heard in the Brighton blaze and residents are evacuated.
It really scares you, brings the hairs up on your arms, and you really hope everyone's okay.
The trial of a couple accused of killing an 18-month-old baby. Here's he had suffered dozens of injuries. Disgusted with a cheapskate government, the Kent nuclear veteran who received his commemorative medal through the post rather than at a ceremony. And the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Edward, visits Sussex school pupils to see them taking part in the successful youth scheme. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Ellie Crisell. A fire which ripped through a block of flats has left 10 households trying to find alternative accommodation. 9 fire engines from across Sussex were sent to the burning properties off Lewis Road in Brighton when the fire quickly took hold last night, meaning 17 residents had to seek refuge in a nearby church. In footage filmed by neighbours, loud explosions can be heard, as Chrissy Reedy reports.
It was around 6 o'clock last night when smoke started billowing from the block of flats in Brighton. But within minutes,
literally from seeing the smoke starting to come out of the windows, I had 2 or 3 explosions, little ones, then the windows fell out, then it really took hold, and within 4 minutes the whole 2 flats were alight and the roof as well. When the explosions started, people were alerted and started running around, shouting, screaming. Horns were going, people shouting, "Fire, fire!"
fire crews from across East and West Sussex attended the blaze. At one point, 9 fire engines were at the scene.
The flames was just pouring out, and downstairs it was just like a dragon, you know, the flames.
82-year-old George has lived here for 20 years.
When we was looking at it, it was the front door, the flames was coming through the front door and also through the window.
17 people and their pets were rescued from the building. A recovery centre was set up last night for residents, and today some have been placed in hotels and temporary accommodation.
The city has a housing crisis, and nationally there's a housing crisis. We have more and more homeless people presenting every day that the council finds temporary accommodation for. So yes, you're right, it does add to that, but we've worked quickly with Brighton Hove Housing Trust to find temporary accommodation for those impacted residents, and we'll continue to support them as the process kind of unfolds.
The owner of the flat directly affected was taken to hospital. It's understood he has a broken arm. Meanwhile, East Sussex Fire and Rescue say they're investigating to establish exactly how the fire started.
Well, Chrissy is at the scene live for us now in Brighton this evening. Hello, Chrissy. What's the latest with these families that are having to be rehomed?
Well, Ellie, there's some families who they've been placed in temporary accommodation, some are in hotels at the moment, and then others, like George, who you heard me chatting to today, he's staying with relatives. In the last hour, actually, a family has been here searching for their cat that's disappeared. So it's a very difficult time for people who live at Richard Allen Court. Now, what's happened today is building surveyors have been on the scene. They're assessing the safety of the structure, and only when they make that decision will we know when people can actually return to the building at all. Something I should say is I've spoken to a lot of people around here today, and there's lots of talk that this fire may have been started by an electric scooter, but I should reiterate that has not been confirmed by the authorities.
Chrissy, thank you. A jury in the trial of a Kent couple accused of killing a baby during lockdown has heard 18-month-old Alfie Phillips suffered dozens of injuries, including broken bones, bruising and wounds to his head and face, which led to his death. He died after spending a night in a caravan near Faversham in November 2020 with his mother and her boyfriend, the trial was told. Sian Hedges and Jack Benham deny murder. Sarah Smith reports.
Alfie Phillips, just 18 months old when he died. Today a trial heard the final cause of death was not clear, but that he'd suffered a sustained assault breaking bones and causing a myriad of cuts and bruises. There was evidence he could have passively smoked crack cocaine and may have been smothered. Alfie and his mother Sian Hedges had been staying with her boyfriend Jack Benham in a caravan in the garden behind this, his parents' home near Whitstable. In November 2020 they'd emerged from the caravan carrying the baby, described as floppy and blue. He wasn't breathing and was pronounced dead later in hospital. In the weeks before he died, the jury heard he'd suffered a number of injuries. In September, Jack Benham said a cut eye was from playing with keys. In October, his ear was purple. His mum said he'd bumped it. In November, his father noticed a bruise which looked as though his ear had been twisted. He was told his son had fallen downstairs. A bruise by his eye was said to be from the dog knocking him, and the day before he died, he'd injured a finger by catching it in the dog's gate. The jury was told Jack Benham had described his girlfriend's son as a crybaby, had advised she bite him hard when the youngster had bitten her. In police interviews, the couple said they'd found Alfie lifeless that morning, caught under Jack Benham's leg in bed. The prosecuting counsel told the jury it was clear that Alfie Phillips had been deliberately injured on more than one occasion, culminating in that overnight assault which led to his death. She said that in the small space of the caravan, both defendants must have been involved. Otherwise, they'd have removed the little boy to safety. Both deny murder. Sarah Smith, BBC South East Today, Maidstone Crown Court.
A drugs dealer from Dartford who supplied large quantities of cocaine using a secret messaging service has been jailed for 7 years. Terry Agumba was caught after the messages were intercepted by international law enforcement agencies. He pleaded guilty to supplying cocaine at Maidstone Crown Court. Police say they're seeking the owner of 2 dogs found wandering on their leads. The male and female pair were discovered in the Kent village of Bobbing. They're keen to reunite them with their owner, who they believe may be unaccounted for. Radiographers across the southeast returned to their hospital posts today after joining senior and junior doctors in strike action. Hospital managers throughout the region are warning the effect of this week's strike on planned treatments is likely to be long-term. Junior doctors and consultants will return to work at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, strike action by the train drivers' union ASLEF means there have been no trains running across the southeast today. Southeastern, Southern and Thameslink say they have cancelled all services except trains from London to Gatwick Airport. The strike follows 2 days of a driver's overtime ban, with that continuing until Friday. So, with the threat of more strike action set to paralyse the network in the coming weeks, what hope is there for a breakthrough, and what will that take?
To be honest, all I can see going ahead is more strikes. I think pretty soon, unless there's a breakthrough, we'll be talking about Christmas strikes, possibly New Year strikes, possibly even general election strikes, because there is just no sign that the payoff that's being made to the drivers is going to be increased.
Well, although the trains will be back on track tomorrow, it doesn't mean an end to travel disruption. As we progress through the autumn, leaves on the line have the potential to create more misery for rail passengers. This year, though, Network Rail are hoping that new technological solutions will help keep the trains running smoothly. Peter Whittlesey has the details.
As we enter the season of mellow fruitfulness, there's nothing poetic about autumn when you're a commuter and your train's been delayed by leaves on the line. That's why Network Rail and operating companies are embracing new technology like drones and cameras to eliminate this annual problem, so even train travellers can look forward to autumn and all its beauty.
We're trialling the use of some innovative pieces of technology, particularly around digital inspections as well. So we've got cameras that have been fit to these multi-purpose vehicles. And the idea behind that is that they'll be much more efficient in terms of being able to give us data as to areas where we need to focus attention a little bit more.
Engineers have become boffins, uploading high-res pictures into software that can analyse hundreds of miles of track in a flash, highlighting problem areas that are then tackled by this massive multi-purpose rail cleaning machine.
We're seeing summer conditions persist well into autumn and autumn conditions persist well into winter. This means that we're having to prepare for not one weather condition but potentially 3, and obviously this makes it much harder to do. We may have vegetation issues going well into October and November due to hot weather and lots of rain. But likewise, we may have adhesion issues with the trains going into winter.
The fleet of cleaning machines are now out and about on the rail network, blasting the rails with high-pressure jets and laying a sand solution that increases grip. And from this weekend, timetables will change so all that work can be carried out.
Every year, some 50 million leaves fall on our tracks, and so this is why we work very closely with Network Rail to ensure that not only are the tracks clean for our drivers to take trains across our network, but our passengers have a smooth, predictable and comfortable ride, which is why on our timetables the times may change by a few minutes. So in the morning your train may arrive 2 minutes earlier, for example, so that the train has more time to arrive into the station and has more time to leave and get to its destination. Overall, you won't notice much of a difference, but what we would ask is that people check our website.
No one's claiming this is an end to delays caused by leaves on the line, but they hope by using technology they will be reduced. Peter Whittlesey, BBC South East Today, Effingham Junction.
A veteran from Kent who took part in the testing of nuclear bombs in the Pacific Ocean in the 1950s says he's disgusted there's no promise of a ceremony to honour his service. Terry Quinlan and many other veterans are receiving commemorative medals through the post after years of campaigning. Terry says while he's pleased, he expected to be presented with it rather than collecting the award from his doormat. Charlie Rose reports.
Like a boiling cauldron, the great fireball rose into the air.
More than 20,000 British personnel worked on nuclear tests in Australia and the South Pacific in the 1950s and 60s.
There was all kinds of debris flying past us. Bits of trees, bits of shell, bits of coral, you name it. Everything flying past us, and the palm trees had...
Terry was based on Christmas Island in 1958 as a driver for the army when nuclear tests were carried out. But soon afterwards he developed tumours in his abdomen, which he blames on radiation exposure. Now, after years of campaigning for recognition, veterans are finally receiving medals. Terry's arrived yesterday in a jiffy bag.
For what we'd gone through to get a medal in the post, not even registered post, not even inscribed, with our name, rank, number, and nothing, no ceremony.
What we're hearing from veterans is that the government have told them to fund the cost of a stamp to acknowledge receipt of their medal, and they haven't provided a stamped addressed envelope in with that. They haven't even provided a blank envelope in with that, and there's no pin supplied. So what I'm hearing now is veterans say they're insulted, that the government are acting as cheapskates.
It comes as campaigners relaunch a battle for compensation. Many veterans believe the tests ruined lives by causing cancers, fertility problems and birth defects. Some veterans also believe that medical information has been withheld by the Ministry of Defence. The MOD has repeatedly said large studies have found no link between the tests and ill health, and that it is not hiding documents from the veterans. Meanwhile, Terry says he was looking forward to having his medal presented to him, and feels bitterly disappointed that this hasn't happened.
Well, Charlie's here now. Charlie, will they get their ceremony? What have the government had to say?
Well, Ellie, listen to this. This morning, before I left to go and see Terry, we contacted the Office for Veterans Affairs to see what they had to say. Then this afternoon, when I left Terry's house, having interviewed him, he ran out to me with his iPad with an email he'd just received from the Office for Veterans Affairs. It said they're continuing to explore options for an event to mark the awarding of medals. Then, just over an hour ago, the government got back to us. They said it's normal practice for veterans to receive their medals, including campaign medals, by post. And formal presentations for a medal, they say, are highly unusual. Ellie, highly unusual, but not unheard of.
Charlie, thank you. Now, it is almost exactly 7:15. This is our top story tonight. A fire which ripped through a block of flats in Brighton has left 10 households trying to find alternative accommodation. 9 fire engines from across Sussex were sent to the burning properties off Lewis Road last night. Also in tonight's programme,
I'm at the imposing Stade Velodrome as thousands of Brighton fans descend on Marseille.
And over the next few days it's going to stay dry, and with increasing amounts of sunshine and a southerly wind it will also get warmer. I've got the details coming up later in the programme.
now many of us have taken part in the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme, but how many have actually had the man himself watching us as we go about it? Well, the title is now held by Prince Edward, of course, and he's been in Sussex today, joining young people taking part in everything from football to baking. Claudia Sabasis reports.
Lovely to meet you.
Arriving this morning to meet some of the 200 students here doing their Duke of Edinburgh award.
It's a bit like being given a sleeve. You know, those like cheese twists?
Part of the scheme involves volunteering, with these young people baking for local food charities.
Very good.
He was very relaxed. You could tell he'd done this a lot, that sort of thing. He asked the students lots of questions, which I think helped them, because obviously everyone's a bit nervous for today.
The Duke of Edinburgh Award was launched in 1956 by Prince Philip. Prince Edward achieved his Gold Award in 1986 and took on the patronage earlier this year.
He was asking me when I finished my DUV award, and then I mentioned about my volunteering section, and he asked me a lot about that as well, which was very sweet.
In the expedition, I was uncomfortable with other people because I'm an introvert. So it was weird going with other people that you didn't know. But in that sense, I made friends. I learned how to cope in like a social manner. Yeah, it was great.
It's an amazing thing to watch young people having these, maybe a tearful night, after their first hike of 20 miles where they're sore, they're blistered. But by the morning, they're ready to go again, and they prove to themselves how resilient they are.
The Duke also visited Brighton and Hove Albion's training ground, where he watched young players and spoke to them about their Duke of Edinburgh experiences.
I found it very useful to help communicate with teammates and solve problems. So solving problems up in the Lake District is different to on the pitch.
I expected the Duke of Edinburgh to be a very posh guy, stereotypical stuff, but he's actually a very normal guy, and I'll definitely talk to him again.
We at the Premier League, we essentially support the Duke of Edinburgh because essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop players, of course, but also trying to develop great people.
Last stop for the Duke was a local bouldering centre. Back on the pitch, these young people showcased how taking part in the Duke of Edinburgh Award has helped them build resilience and improve teamwork. Claudia Sabasis, BBC South East Today, Brighton.
Now, after last week's disappointing results, Seagulls fans' hopes are once again flying high as Brighton and Hove Albion prepares for their first ever European away fixture. Fans gathered at Gatwick Airport early this morning in readiness for the Albion to take off and take on French giants Marseille in the Europa League tomorrow night. Well, Piers Hopkirk has been travelling along with them and is lucky enough to be live in France for us now. Hello, Piers. This is a huge moment for fans, isn't it? What's it like over there?
Well, Ellie, I think this might just be one of their proudest moments yet. This is a match that is indicative, really, of Brighton's remarkable rise. If you cast your mind back to this time around 10 years ago, the Seagulls were waiting to take on Yeovil Town. Tomorrow night, though, they take on one of the giants of Europe. Gatwick Airport, 7 a.m, as the Seagulls fans prepare to spread their wings on their first ever foray into Europe.
It's just a wonderful feeling to be going in Europe with Brighton Football Club. I love the club from a young age, and it's just wonderful.
Marseille's a fantastic place to go, massive stadium, bit hostile, but we'll find out when we get there. It should be great atmosphere.
At the moment it's the pinnacle, because you don't know what's going to happen next year or two, you just never know, but you have to pinch yourself sometimes.
For Marseille-bound Brighton fans, it's the start of an away trip like none before.
It's a big difference to what we're used to, you know, back in the day in the Championship. And yeah, it's an incredible feeling, an incredible day for the Albion.
For Albion supporters who've been through thick and thin, it's been quite a journey. And today they arrived in the home of a European footballing giant. And this is what awaits the magnificent Marseille, the biggest city on the French Mediterranean coast, famous for its football fanaticism. With a capacity of 67,000, the Stade Velodrome's a football fortress. Marseille even has its own YouTube channel dedicated to its fans. So what do they know about these new arrivals on the European footballing scene?
Les Seagulls?
Les Seagulls?
Oui, l'équipe de Brighton.
Ah non, moi c'est Marseille.
Qui est le favori?
Le favori, je pense que c'est Brighton quand même.
Brighton are the favourites, but it's going to be tight. You're not in good shape, but Marseille aren't in good shape either. It's going to be a good match.
Il n'est pas non plus. Justement, ça va être un bon match.
How much do you know about Brighton then?
De Zerbi is playing some very attractive football, but I really hope they continue losing because this is my first time watching a Marseille game in 20 years live at the stadium, so I'd really love to see a win.
So you're backing Marseille, not Brighton?
Of course.
One man remains a legend in this city. They still call him Magic Chris.
Absolutely crackers about football. They worship the team. It's a massive city, one team in the city, and they just live for the football.
It's just incredible, really, that this city is almost completely identified by the football club and what happens in the life of the football club.
Tonight, a lone seagull hovered over the Stade Velodrome. Tomorrow, nearly 3,000 Seagulls fans will be heading here in search of some European glory. Now, just a few kilometres from here in the Place de la Juliette, the Brighton fans are gathering tonight, having perhaps a bowl or two of bouillabaisse, maybe the odd beer. But tomorrow, of course, the focus switches to here, the Stade Velodrome, this extraordinary football stadium as Brighton seek to make a little bit of European history.
Piers, you paint a lovely picture over there in Marseille. Go and enjoy a bière yourself. Thank you so much. There'll be updates from Marseille throughout the day on BBC Radio Sussex with commentary from 5:45. There's also much more on our website, of course, bbc.co.uk/Sussex. And we will be on air here while the match is in progress, and we will have updates for you in tomorrow's programme. So don't miss that time now for a look at the weather forecast. Nina is with us. Now, we're not in Marseille, but actually Marseille seems to be coming here.
It is. Piers is going to bring back the sunshine and some of that south of France warmth. It's not too bad at the moment. Temperatures are above average, although we did see fairly cloudy skies this morning, a little misty and murky from our Weather Watcher pictures. But as the day went on, the sunshine came out and temperatures today have been in the high teens, but they will pick up over the next couple of days. And certainly for tomorrow, we're going to stick with the mild weather. It may be a little cloudy once again first thing in the morning, but by the afternoon, the cloud will break and we'll see some sunshine. Through the night tonight, for most of us, it will be dry. There are a few showers just moving through the English Channel, but they're very isolated. We're looking at those westerly winds falling a little lighter, so it picks up with more cloud and some of that mist and murk first thing. Temperatures first thing tomorrow morning at around 8 or 9 degrees. So a slightly slow start to tomorrow, a little grey and overcast. But as we break that cloud up, we'll see increasing amounts of sunshine, slightly more blue sky for the afternoon. And those temperatures very similar to today's values, 18 to 19. We've still got that westerly breeze with us. Overnight then, Thursday in towards Friday, we've got dry weather, generally clear skies, but at times there may just be 1 or 2 passing showers. First thing on Friday morning, temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees. So those overnight temperatures also starting to pick up over the next couple of days. Then through Friday, increasing amounts of sunshine. High pressure is already building in. So I think a much brighter day on Friday. And with that extra bit of sunshine through the afternoon, it just picks our temperatures up a bit of a boost to give us to 20 to 22 degrees. You can start to see those winds turning more round to a southwesterly direction. As that high builds through the weekend, it's a southerly wind that pushes those weather fronts to the north. It brings with it the dry, the fine conditions with that sunshine, and we've already looked at that warmth. It really does push towards us. So temperatures above average, not just by day, but also overnight as well. And at the moment, it looks as if that warm weather will last into Monday and Tuesday as well, Ellie.
How lovely. Unseasonably warm, isn't it,
Very
for
warm.
October? Very nice. Thank you very much, Nina. Not complaining. That's it from me for now. Ian Palmer, though, will be back with your late news update. Bye-bye.